Rapids Nation, we are joined by probably the hardest working man in the Maritime Hockey League this year, no doubt. You heard Coach McKenzie refer to him in our chat, James Faulkner, who is with the Maritime Hockey League. Welcome. Good morning.
Hello, David. How are you?
Excellent. How are you, I guess, is the question.
Sleeping. I get a couple hours in when I can, but no, I think things are going well. We're obviously in this continual state of planning and looking forward to when we can get teams back on the ice. And there's a lot of work that everyone has to do, not just myself, to make that happen.
So going into the year this year, obviously a little bit different. There was a 40-game schedule that we were looking at, and obviously with all the things that have gone on through the early part of the year here, what's it looking like for the rest of the season?
Well, the goal is to get 40 games in by the end of March, and we'll have to reassess that based on when teams are able to get back on the ice, because as of right now, no one is playing. So that is the goal, and we have a few proposals out there based on what the playoffs may look like. Everyone will make the playoffs, as we announced back in August. I think it's all blur kind of at this point. But we'll be able to firm that up once we have a better sense of how the regular season will go. And there are going to be some tweaks that are going to have to happen. And obviously, if you look on the website, there's a long list of games that have to be rescheduled. But everyone's been doing great work. The GMs, the Return to Play Committee, the League Executive Board of Governors, everyone, the coaches, players to get everyone ready and try and get games in when we can. We saw that over the Christmas break where the Rapids and Edmonton were able to get some games in. I know there was some talk about some other ones to get in as well. So everyone really wants to take advantage of the time when they are able to play, just because we've seen how volatile the COVID-19 can be and the effect that it can have on every team.
Now, going into the season, I'm sure you guys had a bit of a backup plan, the kind of if A, then do B. Is that are you able to stick to that still, or is it kind of blown out of the water with all of the new things that have happened in terms of COVID cases?
It really is a case of kind of scheduling to week and looking at information as it comes in. What we do when we've been making the major decisions, like early in the year, Summerside started off playing only games against the Nova Scotia teams. The hope was that, get them through to Christmas, and then hopefully in January, they can go back to the north and schedule and play games there, you really just kind of have to hedge your bets based on whatever the time is and look at, okay, where are the cases, what are the health restrictions, what are we hearing, and the conversations that are being had with provincial health authorities as to when things may open up or any changes that may be coming down the pipe, and a lot of talks with Hockey Nova Scotia and other stakeholders as well. So that's kind of a long-winded answer to say that we're doing the best with the information that we have, and there really isn't any other way to do it. You try and make the best decision you can based on the information that you have. But again, things are changing, day to day, never mind week to week.
So has there been any discussion, James, about maybe doing kind of similar to what the NHL did in sort of a bubble system, maybe even toward the playoffs, just to make sure that we kind of get through this season?
Not at this point. I think at this point, the only safe place would be PEI. Poor Summerside, they've only got 5 games in, and they're really just looking to play anyone. They could play right now if there was someone that could go there, but unfortunately, that's not the case. PEI would be the only place if that was going to happen, but there are no discussions, at least, that have come across my desk that on that kind of topic. Is that something that we look at, a couple of weeks down the road? I can't really speculate, but I'd be surprised if we get into any kind of a bubble situation.
So you kind of referenced the Return to Play Committee. I know there's been a lot of work in the off season to make sure that, first of all, games could happen and that fans could attend. I know that, Grand Falls and not like any other rink in the league, reduced capacities and, having to wear a mask and all those fun things that we all have to do all the time. But what's going on from a Return to Play side? Is there any kind of discussion around, obviously depending on the provincial health authorities, but from a league perspective, is there any kind of opportunity for teams to see either more fans in the stands or relaxation of some of the guidelines around what the fans have to do in attendance?
Well, with each of our markets, it's been up to each of them to kind of figure out what they can do. The provincial health authority set up the guidelines. In Nova Scotia, it's these 200-person bubbles. And that's based on the number of entrances, the number of washrooms, because you have to separate all of the fans. In one of our older rinks in particular, it means that attendance has to be very low. This is my 11th season doing play-by-play for the Truro Bearcats. The Rathie's Link Community Center holds about 2,500, and we can have 600. And it's very unlikely that's going to change. In New Brunswick, it was each municipality kind of was able to talk with the teams and determine what the attendance was going to be. But again, the provincial health authorities kind of oversaw all of that, and plans had to be submitted to them, much the same as our return to play plan to begin with, which started as soon as, unfortunately, the playoffs were canceled last season to look ahead to this year. So, I would like to say that we can kind of relax things and, get a few more fans in, but at the same time, one, it's out of our hands. And two, our whole mission statement has been about safety, safety of fans, safety of players, safety of team staff. The last thing that we want is for there to be any kind of outbreak or transmission at any of our facilities and through any of our teams, any of our communities, really. And so what we have to do is just make sure that the rules that are in place are the best that we can do to ensure that doesn't happen. Unfortunately, again, right now, no one's playing due to restrictions in Nova Scotia, outbreak in New Brunswick, and so on. But, who's to say a month down the road, if everything's not looking exceptional, that we get back to, the way it was in November when everyone was kind of timid about going back to the rink, and understandably so, but we were at least able to, have everyone playing. And, if we get to that point, maybe the health authorities allow us to ease it up. I'm not very optimistic that that's, going to happen. I think basically the attendance and the rules that are in place in each of our rinks is pretty much how things are going to be, at least until the vaccinations roll out. And, I think that's more of a conversation for next season.
Absolutely. So it's been a pretty strict protocol in place for each of the teams. I know when the boys arrive at the rink, there's a whole, questionnaire and temperatures they got to fill out and that kind of thing. Talk to us a little bit about how that's working. I know there was a situation in Campbellton that occurred, but it sounds like that was pretty quickly handled. So how's that working from a league perspective?
It's working very well. We have an advisor, health advisor, to help us kind of navigate through the provincial health authorities and help with the creation of our return to play plan. And that had to be approved by all three provincial health authorities. That's the thing with the MHL, is if you look at other leagues, basically any other league across the country, they only have to deal with one set of rules. We're dealing with three. As you know, PEI is handling things a lot differently than New Brunswick, a lot differently than Nova Scotia. No right or wrong, or any judgment based on that. It's just the way that it is. Mm-hmm. So each of the rules and each of their teams have to follow whatever is set out, and we had to make sure that the guidelines that we set up were compatible with what the provincial health authorities had to do. And that goes into if there was a positive test, there was one recently in Campbellton. Okay, what happens? And immediately Campbellton, the Tigers did a fantastic job as far as the conversations with the health authority and making sure that things rolled it the way they should and protect the players as best they can. And things seem to be great right now, so we're very happy with the outcome there. But you always have to be careful with it, and again, it really goes back to just kind of planning as much as you can. And at some point, those rules are going to be tested, but so far so good.
On behalf of all the fans, thank you for all the work that you've done, and your team as well, to make sure that we've got hockey this season. One of the few leagues that are actually playing. So nice to have hockey, and thanks for everything that you do.
Thanks very much. I appreciate that. And if you ever want to talk again, just give me a shout.